Hi, this is Mr. Grafton, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing the bulk reading program. So, I think that it's really important for you to select your own reading material, and the format of an online course really lends itself to an individualized approach to reading or to a reading program. So, in this video, I just want to give an introduction to the document that's on the screen right now. You're going to have to read this document, and if you have any questions, you can message me those. But I just want to speak to a couple of the items in the document. So, on your own, you have to read at least 4 books. And you get to pick the books, but there are some criteria, or there is some criteria that you have to follow. So, you're going to read a minimum of 4 books over the course of the semester. You are free to select your own reading material, and you're responsible for reading at least 1 memoir, autobiography, or biography, 1 book by an author not born in Canada, the United States, or Great Britain, and that can be a fiction or a nonfiction, 1 Canadian novel, so that can be, again, fiction or nonfiction, written by an author who is Canadian. That author is Canadian but doesn't have to be born in Canada. 1 graphic novel or graphic memoir. 2 books that are not graphic novels, so you can read a maximum of, or you can use a maximum of 2 graphic novels for your 4 books. And altogether, you should read a minimum of 1,200 pages. Okay, so just keep that criteria in mind as you're selecting your reading material, and I want to point out that 1 book can satisfy multiple requirements. Okay, so if you're reading a graphic novel that's written by somebody who is not born in Canada, the United States, or Great Britain, you're meeting 2 of those requirements there. So 1 book can potentially satisfy 2, 3, maybe even 4 of the requirements on the list there. So I also want to emphasize that 4 books is a minimum, but you're encouraged to read more than this. You're responsible for documenting and responding to your reading, and you do this through individual reading responses and mini book reviews. So individual reading responses are responses you write as you're reading a book, and there's an outline on, what page is this here? Page 4 of the document. And you'll find this table here, and it has a list of writing prompts. So you want to bear in mind each of these bullet points here are writing prompts. And in 1 journal entry, you are definitely not going to be able to write about everything on this outline. So for each journal entry, you should pick 3 or 4 bullets and develop your ideas. Okay, so this isn't a way that you have to structure your responses. These are just prompts to help get your ideas flowing. So you use this outline and you write reading responses as you're reading a book. When you finish reading a book, you write a short mini review. And the mini book reviews are explained on page 5 of the document. So with the reading responses, only you and I can see them. The mini book reviews are different because they're published for the whole class to see. And the idea behind this is that you can read about what your classmates are reading, and it's really a good way to find reading material that you might be interested in. Okay, so you can see, just want to bear in mind, reading responses, that's going in your journal, and again, your journal is a private place. The mini reviews, those are getting published on the discussion board, so anybody can see those. So in terms of evaluation, the bulk reading program is worth 20% of your final grade, and you rate a self-evaluation at the end of the first term and then at the end of the semester. So I do reserve the final say in your mark for this part of the course, but I base the mark on a number of different things. So one thing I take into consideration is your self evaluation. I also consider what I see in your response journal and what I see on the discussion board in terms of your mini reviews. So we'll just look here on page 7 and 8. These are rubrics that you will fill out at the end of the first reporting period, and then again at the end of the course. So to get started with the bulk reading program, I'd just like to have a little bit of background on your prior reading. So on page 3 of the document, you'll find a series of writing prompts. And what I'd like you to do is open a new journal entry and post these writing prompts in the journal entry. And then right in the journal, you can respond to as many of these prompts as you can. So we'll just look at how to do that here. You're going to go into the course, My Journals, and you go to your journal, create a new journal entry, and call it Reading Habit Inventory. I believe that's the title on here. And you can just copy and paste these prompts directly into the journal. And you can respond to them right in the journal. So this is the end of the introduction to the bulk reading program. As always, if you have questions, send them to me through messages. And thanks for listening.